one of the biggest challenges for job seekers who've been looking for work for a while is that they struggle with focus and motivation. So it can be very difficult to keep yourself motivated so people often say things like, I don't mind, I'll do anything, or I'm not proud, I'll scrub floors, or they often spend a lot of time trawling the internet, and it's like looking for a needle in a haystack. And actually this even feeds into feelings of depression and making you feel very low and demotivated. People can be specifically looking for their old job again, so very much stuck kind of looking for the same old job which may not exist anymore. And all of this can really mean that people struggle with having a lack of action. And then typically what people tend to do is say, oh look, apply for everything, send out mass CV mailings to everyone they can think of, loads of people that they don't know. So that can be very ineffective, because when the potential employer reads it, it probably just goes straight in the bin or into their spam folder. So it's really important that people actually look at a more effective strategy than just this mass scattergun approach. This often then means that if you did actually miraculously get selected to be interviewed for a role, that people are not really familiar with the organisation, they may have a lack of preparation, they may not be familiar with the culture or what the employer or they themselves even really want. And often they struggle with presenting themselves and their skills, because perhaps it's a role that they weren't really that interested in anyway. And prospective employers will always know this. So following on from that, people often may get a rejection letter, or more likely they will hear nothing, just because of the sheer volume of applications that people are getting. So compounding this is the fact that when people submit applications for things, quite often, more often than not, they don't follow up to make sure that the application was received, and they also don't seek any feedback. Now, you know, getting feedback may be limited, but it's still no harm to ask for it. And finally, all of these negative experiences can make people feel that they've been rejected, which obviously damages their confidence and their self-belief, and then feeds into the lack of focus and motivation. So it really becomes very much a downward spiral, which is not very easy to get out of in a lot of cases. So what we'd like to promote is a more focused approach, where you have a clear focus and a weekly action plan and things that you need to get on with every week. We would suggest and recommend that people selectively apply for very specific roles with a tailored CV and a direct approach as much as possible, which makes it more likely that you will engage effectively with the prospective hiring manager. That people prepare well for any meetings, but particularly for interviews, because obviously opportunities can arise at any point in time. And then following the meeting or the interview, to actually evaluate the outcome. So any interaction is potentially a learning opportunity. So it just means that if you were unsuccessful, that you can properly evaluate what could you do differently, how could you approach it in a more effective manner. And then finally, you want to review your next steps and proceed with your plan and move on to the next target employer if that's appropriate.